All right, so regarding the building blocks of geometry, there's three elements that form these building blocks. Okay, the first is point. Okay, for a point is just a representation of a position or location in space. Okay, it's not an actual physical thing. It doesn't physically exist. It would be like the tip of this pen here representing this location right here in space. Okay, that location doesn't actually exist. There's nothing there. It's just describing a location for something. Okay, so that means it has 0 dimensions. Okay, so points are going to have as 1 or 0 dimension. A point's going to be named by a single letter of the alphabet. It'll be capital letter generally. Okay, and if you were identifying point A, you could just call it A, and that names the point. So right here, A represents that point. If you string an infinite number of points in a straight arrangement, you create the next building block, which is a line. Okay, so if I were to take these points and I string them infinitely in a straight arrangement, they create a line. A line has that 1 dimension of length. And when you name a line, you can name it a couple different ways. One way that you might name a line is take any 2 points, exactly 2. Okay? No fewer, no more, just exactly 2 points that fall on that line, and then put a line symbol above it. The order doesn't matter. You can put BC or CB. You can put BD or DB, also CD and DC. So you can do any combination of 2 points. And you might also see a subscript or a capital L with a subscript of those points. So CD or DC could also be a line with the subscript as the points that are contained on the line. You might also see a line represented by, if it's labeled with a cursive letter, and you can name the line just using that cursive letter. Okay, so line N, and it might say line on it. It might just say the letter itself, N. Okay, but those would be the main ways that you're going to see the next building block line be denoted, okay, and that's or identified. If you take an infinite number of lines and you stack them in a flat arrangement, okay, that creates the next element, which is a plane. A plane is generally represented by a parallelogram, but it doesn't have edges. And the plane actually refers to dimensions that extend infinitely. Again, these are all lines, so the ends are infinite. It's also an infinite extension of those. And so planes are going to extend and create 2 dimensions, length and width. And when you name a plane, if I were to put some points on here, if I put points on this plane, you can name a plane by taking any 3 points as long as they don't fall in the same straight line. And so I could call this plane EFG. I could call it plane GHE. The order of the letters isn't going to matter. But if I tried to call it plane FGH, that does not work. And the reason for that is this shaded plane right here does pass through F, G, and H. But if you're going to name a plane, it has to be a distinct plane. There can't be more than one plane that passed through that same set of 3 points. So if you took this plane here, this blue plane also passes through F, G, and H. This green plane also passes through. This brown plane also passes through. There's an infinite number of planes that would possibly pass through that. Okay? And so you can't name it with 3 points that fall in the same straight line. All right, cross country if you have to go. All right, so those are the elements that we're looking at. Those are the 3 building blocks, so point, line, and plane. Okay, would be your building blocks. The other way that you might see this is called the undefined terms of geometry. Undefined terms are also these 3 building blocks, point, line, and plane. And the reason they're called undefined terms is they have definitions, but they can't be proven. You can't prove that something extends infinitely because there's no way to physically measure that. And so there's inconsistent as far as the definition is concerned. They don't actually exist. They're just the theoretical. All right, there's one more term that's added to this in the text, space. Space is not one of the building blocks, but it is the next sort of progression of this. 0 dimensions, 1 dimension, 2 dimensions. Space is 3 dimensions. And it is the set of all points. Okay, so space would be created by stacking an infinite number of planes on top of each other. And so it would encompass all points that exist.